I was debating on whether or not I should label these as big pickups for Coach Prime, but I came to the conclusion that they are, because these aren't won'ts. These aren't the cherry on top of things. No. You need these guys. They say with the good you get the bad, but today it's vice versa. With the bad, you get the good. At least that's the case for Coach Prime in Colorado. And oh yeah, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're not doing no intro, none of that. This is the one and only topic we're going to be talking about in today's video. It's relatively simple. If you like college football content videos like this, consider subscribing and joining our amazing community. We love to have you here. If you don't want to subscribe, that's cool too. Now, with that being said, we got to talk about, yet again, I know we talk about them a lot, but there's a lot going on with them, the Colorado football team, and what has transpired within the past 24 to 48 hours. I do want to give you some brief context here. 3 to 4 days ago, we made a video talking about how 10 players left Colorado within 24 hours. Insane. Then shortly after that, we made a video talking about how in total, 17 players left Colorado within 72 hours. And all the Colorado fans were saying the same thing, and they all had the one argument of, oh, well, out of those 17 guys that left, maybe only 1, if 2 max, were going to start. Those are bench players. Who cares? Deion Sanders even said the same thing, and I'll show you what he said again. Matt wrote a clip.
You're losing some guys to the portal. What are you looking forward to reestablish? What position groups are you hunting in the transfer portal?
I wish you guys do a little more homework when you start talking about the portal and understand what we're losing. What are we losing? I got time today. What are we losing? I trust the recruiting team. I trust our coaches. And please have some faith in me. We good. We all right. What happens with the portal, man, and you guys need to know, a lot of people are fighting for backups.
So yeah, there we have that. And my response to that back then is going to be the same as it is now. I understand they're bench players, but great teams like Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Texas, Oklahoma, whoever you want to throw in the mix, they also have great depth, and that's the one thing that hurt Colorado last year, the lack of depth later in the season. I'm not trying to sit up here and convince you that you should be worried. As a matter of fact, I stated if I was a Colorado fan, I wouldn't even worry about this to the slightest of bits. However, it's not a good thing, and it's not like this is going to benefit your team. It may not make you worse losing those 17 guys, but it is most certainly not going to help you out and make you better. And we saw this happen with another team only a couple months ago, and that was Ohio State. They lost something like, I believe it was 19 or 20 guys to the portal within 36 to 48 hours. But the one main difference with that is I'm not concerned, and I've never been concerned with Ohio State's depth. With Colorado, I am. And it's not necessarily easy to replace 17 guys just like that. Yesterday was a good start, though, because Coach Prime and that Colorado coaching staff picked up not 1, not 2, but 3 new players. 3 new players in one day, not too shabby at all. They got 1 offensive lineman and 2 defensive linemen, and this is so key and vital because that is Colorado's biggest weakness, the offensive line and defensive line. The O-lineman they got was a former player for Texas. He goes by the name of Peyton Kirkland. He's 6'3", 350 pounds, and has 4 years of eligibility left. I'll talk about him in just a second. One of the defensive linemen they got is Ryan Buell. Hope I'm saying that last name correctly. 6'3", 275 pounds, and he had 39 tackles and 6.5 sacks for 2 years, or in 2 years with the Bobcats. And last but not least, they picked up a guy who I circled in the transfer portal because I was like, man, I think this guy could play at a South Carolina, lower tier SEC school. But this is the biggest one out of them all, and I saved the best for last. Former Pittsburgh edge rusher Hayes, who had 81 tackles, 27 of those for loss, 13 sacks, and 3 forced fumbles, he is going to Colorado. This is a guy right here, if I'm a Colorado fan, I'm circling. Because this is an instant impact, and he is going to make an impact from the start right away. Or at least, this is a better way of saying it, I expect him to do that. I was debating on whether or not I should label these as big pickups for Coach Prime, but I came to the conclusion that they are, because these aren't won'ts. These aren't the cherry on top of things. No. You need these guys, and let me explain. Whether or not all 3 of these guys become starters for this Colorado team next year, at bare minimum, they're going to be a backup, and more than likely, all of them are going to play. And I'm going to harp on it and emphasize it. This team, they need depth, and with 17 guys leaving, yeah, it doesn't hurt to add 3 new guys, especially in the trenches. They are A-okay when it comes to running backs, quarterbacks, and wide receivers. They're good there. They need to worry about, outside of Travis Hunter, the entire defense. It's awful, and the offensive line. Make no mistakes about it, and this might be sugarcoating it, but that offensive line last year, was trash. That's me being nice. It's almost hard to fathom that a D1 offensive line could be as bad as they were. And matter of fact, there were conspiracy theories coming out that the offensive line had some shady beef towards the quarterback, Deion Sanders, so they weren't blocking, so he would get sacked. That's how bad it was. When you have people seriously talking about, I think there's some beef there between the quarterback and O-line, that's not why they're blocking, that goes to prove how bad it is. So you got to fix the O-line, you got to. As far as it goes for a defensive line, you can argue and say that you need to fix them just as much as the offensive line. Last year, they looked so abysmal, weak, and unskilled compared to everybody else. It was laughable. It looked like the middle school football team, their defensive line and front seven, it looked like the middle school team scrimmaging the varsity team. Not even the JV, I can't give them that, but a middle school team. They weren't physical enough, they were too small, and you can sit up here all day and say, oh, well, it's the coach's job to put them in a position to succeed, and yes, that's true, but if you don't have dogs out there, you don't have the dudes to compete, it doesn't matter if you got Nick Saban out there. It's not going to amount to a hill of beans. That's why recruiting is so, and I mean so vital and important. You got to have dudes out there, plain and simple. And Coach Prime knows that. He's not dumb. He's a pretty smart fella. But here's the hardest part about this, actually getting those dudes and dogs to come in. Deion has done a relatively good job, all things considered, because this program was at the bottom of the barrel. They were beyond trash. Well, now if you want to argue and say, well, Matt, they're still not very good. Yeah, that's true, but they definitely improved from that 1-11 season. And although they have improved ever since Deion has got there, the problem with Deion is he has this, some people call it cocky, I just call it confidence about him, but he has this brash behavior where he can't just be good. He's got to be great for people to give him kudos and props and respect. He himself was an all-time great, so having his team go out there and going 7-5, even that's not good enough. I'm not here to talk about the up-and-coming season. I haven't even looked at their schedule because it's too far out, too far away, and I don't like to talk about the season when it's 5 months away. We'll talk more about the season and what I think their record's going to be and how I think they'll fare out in probably a month or two, something like that, around the end of June, early July. For now, though, I did want to give you this update, and let me know in the comment section. I'm extremely curious if you're a Colorado fan, or you don't even got to be a Colorado fan of any team, college football. What do you think about these three new guys? And also, what do you think about their offensive line and defensive line situation? Do you think their offensive line is going to improve from last year? Do you think they're going to be as bad as they were last year? And same thing for the defense. As where it stands right now, I don't see, even with adding these three guys, the offensive line and defensive line taking a huge step forward. I don't think they're going to go from bad to good. I'm also not too sure what Colorado fans are expecting, so y'all let me know in the comment section what you think you're going to go next year. Do you think you're going to go 5-7? 6-6, maybe potentially 8-4, who knows, 9-3? Drop the comments down below. I would love to know your guys' thoughts on that. And despite how you feel about Colorado, there's one thing for sure. You're going to be watching because they're the most interesting thing in college football. Of course, if they start losing games in this upcoming season, same thing's going to happen as last year. People aren't going to care as much. But as long as they're winning games and they start the season or at the beginning of the season with that 0-0 record, people are going to tune in. And they're not going to tune in to root for them. They're going to tune in to hate watch. But if they start losing games, that's when all the hate watchers quit watching because they're like, oh, yeah, well, they suck, so there's no reason to root against them. I already know they suck. Whereas last year when they won all those 3 games, it pissed people off so much because everybody's like, oh, my gosh, they're not even good. They're getting lucky. Like I said, though, let me know your thoughts down below. But roll minute.